Welcome, welcome to the latest Manchester United news. Bruno's agent was spotted in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Is he staying or is he going? Liam Delap chooses Chelsea. So, what's next for Manchester United in the striker position or possibly in the 10 position? And then, what's the latest on Jadon Sancho? Is he staying at Chelsea or coming back to Manchester United? Also, what about the new links for Rasmus Hojlund and Antony? So, regarding Bruno Fernandes, Miguel Pino, who's Bruno Fernandes's agent, was spotted in front of Four Seasons Hotel near Al Hilal headquarters in Riyadh. This is by a local Saudi Arabian journalist, and his agent Miguel Pino has held face-to-face talks with Al Hilal in Riyadh, and the meeting went late into the night. The Saudis have issued a 72-hour deadline on Monday, and they are ready to pay Fernandes £200 million over 3 years and £100 million to Manchester United. This news was reported by Chris Wheeler at the Daily Mail. So it's the Saudis are running out of time because the 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 transfer window opens on the 1st of June, and so they are trying to get Bruno Fernandes to in so that they can sign him as soon as possible so that he's ready for the Club World Cup. They need a big name signing to give them a chance, at least in this version of the Club World Cup. So they are trying to get a reply from him. He's still with the Manchester United team, which is doing its Asian tour. He played in the last game against the ASEAN 11 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and he is now currently in Hong Kong, going to play in about a few hours against the Hong Kong 11. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but if it was, or if there was a good chance of it happening, I don't see how he would still be with the team and practicing, especially because if you're expecting 100 million offer and you are going to accept it as Manchester United, there's no way you want to play him like you did in the last game and injure him. So I just think that this is just talk, and hopefully nothing comes out of it. I'm neither here nor there on this Bruno Fernandes situation, because as a as a captain and a decent player, I would like to hold on to him. But if he wants to leave, then I think Manchester United should not prevent his departure. They should allow him to go, reap the benefits, and use it to beef up the squad. So I'm glad that this is one of the situations where I'm okay with either scenario, whether he stays or leaves. But hopefully he stays, or at least we know about it as soon as possible so that we can make a decision about who to go next to, because we are losing Christian Eriksen, and there's a good chance if Casemiro stays, he's not going to play the entire year. So we need reinforcements in the midfield, and with Bruno going, double the reinforcements. The second topic is on Liam Delap. So Liam Delap has chosen Chelsea. We don't know the specifics of his new contract, but they are he has called the other clubs who are in on him and told them that he is going to choose Chelsea. They're about to do the medicals and discuss personal terms. There should be no problem with it. Chelsea always had the upper hand because they recently won a trophy, and they also are in Europe, which Manchester United is not. Is this a blessing in disguise for Manchester United? Like, he is a little young for Manchester United, because right now we have another young striker in Rasmus Hojlund. Would the pressure and the stage be too much for Liam Delap? So maybe it's a good thing that he has chosen Chelsea. But there are many cons, especially because he's cheap and he's with a release clause. Because let's say there was no release clause, then the price to get him out of Ipswich would have been astronomical. But luckily there was a release clause, and I think Chelsea are the winners in this situation. So what next for Manchester United? Do they go for another striker elsewhere and take the whole summer? I think they're in a very dicey situation because any negotiations will take a lot of time, and like Sesko has been recently linked to Arsenal today. So I doubt Manchester United are going to go into for Sesko, and Hugo Ekitike is another striker that's been linked with Chelsea, which he's an up and comer and he's really expensive. So that's a no go on both ends. So finally you're left with Gyökeres and Osimhen. Gyökeres wants Champions League football, and Osimhen is going to turn out to be very expensive for whoever gets him. So again, there's a lot of negotiations to be had, especially with these two strikers, and hopefully one of them, because I think all the main strikers out there in Europe are all going to end up in the Premier League. So Man United might get one of them at least, but there's a lot of negotiations to be had. So the longer this takes, the other players available might fall out and decide to go elsewhere. So my suggestion is go for Mbuemo. He's the other 10. He plays on the right side, left-footed, and he would be really complementary to Matthias Cunha on the left side. So as long as we get Matthias Cunha and Mbuemo, then we can take our time with our negotiations for a striker. Because worst case scenario, let's say all the strikers decide to go elsewhere, then Manchester United can be happy. At least they have Mbuemo, Cunha, Xerxes, Ahmad. We don't know about Garnacho, but I think they will sell Garnacho only if you get a decent fee on him. And you're losing Rasmus, and possibly losing Anthony as well. So maybe they end up playing a false nine, or use one of their 10s in the striker position. But I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Manchester United has no Europe, so they are, I don't think they're first at the negotiating table, so they just have to wait. So try to get Mbuemo through the door, and as recently reported by the United Muppeteers, Newcastle United actually have the lead on Mbuemo, and as he is a good fit for their system, and they have European football. So I mean, this is going to be the story of the summer. No European football, no money. What are you going to do about it? So, but hopefully Barada has a plan and they get active with this. Get the 2 10s. That'll make everybody at ease, and then try to hit a long shot for a striker. And worst case, Rasmus stays, and you have to use him either off the bench or as a starter. But I just don't see. I don't see the point of losing Mbuemo, because you're going after a striker, especially a striker who's going to take his own time in deciding where to go next. So Matthias Cunha, good, you have done that. Go get Mbuemo first, and then we'll worry about the next striker who's available. Keep working on the background. Surprisingly, and this is very surprisingly, nobody has been linked to Victor Gyökeres. I don't know if there's been some negotiations in the back. I mean, if Manchester United finish with Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbuemo, and Victor Gyökeres, my God, I mean, I can guarantee you we'll be finishing in Europe. I just don't see how, with such a solid front three, that you can't score goals and keep your team in all the games. I know there are other positions still left to be filled, especially in the midfield, but just having those three as your starting options. Then the reason why I was insisting on Liam Delap this whole time was because of the price. I mean, he's so cheap that it's good to get him through the door and then go for a long term, because at least you have something in the bag. But now with him gone, it's not worth it. Don't go and overpay for an up and coming striker just like you did with Rasmus, because it's tough heading the line at Manchester United. So just take your time, but go for Mbuemo. Mbuemo is proven, and he has a 50 million. I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a release clause, but he's on the last year of his deal, so you should be able to go and get him for a decent price. Just go and sell the project and get him over the line. And before we go on to the next topic, please let me know in the comments what you think about this or what you want me to talk about. And also feel free to like and subscribe so that it helps the channel grow and gets it in front of many viewers. Thank you. And finally, Sancho. There's a lot of talks about whether Sancho is going to come back or is he going to stay in Chelsea. There was it wasn't sure, especially until the European League, until the Conference League final. But I'm glad that he was able to get into the game and score in the game and at least possibly change their minds. I mean, I think the biggest issue with Jadon Sancho is his wages, because Man United, when they signed him, they put him on a crazy contract, and obviously that's a contract which Chelsea are not willing to offer. So that's the main obstacle in finishing that deal. So like these are the main points regarding the Jadon Sancho deal, because so Chelsea would like Sancho to stay if they can agree on contract terms which fit in with the wage structure at the club. This is according to Sky News. And so Sancho joined Chelsea on loan from Manchester United last August, and Chelsea now have a $25 million obligation to buy. They can pay United a £5 million penalty to get out of the obligation to buy, or they can actually just pay the 25 million and keep him. I think the main issue is they don't care whether they pay the 25 million pound or not. They just don't want to pay Sancho his wages. But I think they have an upper hand, and I think Manchester United has an upper hand because this is the last year of Jadon Sancho's contract. So I mean, Jadon Sancho doesn't have any negotiating power to get the wages that he desires. So I think he'll be seeking a long-term contract. So they should be helpful for both Chelsea and Manchester United, that it will facilitate the move and hopefully get it done, and no here or there. And just like last year where he wanted to leave, the club wanted him to leave but they couldn't sell him, and so he played in pre-season with Manchester United. It was just a bad case all around. So I'm glad that we're getting that fixed, and hopefully it is done soon. And finally, there was a lot of rumors about other members of the Manchester United team. So Antony and Alejandro Garnacho are being discussed internally by Bayer Leverkusen, who are now managed by Erik ten Hag. This is by a Leverkusen journalist. I don't know. Maybe Antony. He's always liked Antony. We have set the price of 35 million pounds. There's a possibility that Antony might want to go back and play under Erik ten Hag, because Erik ten Hag was playing him a lot at Manchester United even when he was not doing well. So I can see him going back and playing for ten Hag. Garnacho, I don't know. I don't think Man United will sell him to Bayer Leverkusen, because Man United want a big fee for him, and I don't think Leverkusen will pay that. And then there's also some news on Rasmus Hojlund. Juventus are among the clubs which are monitoring Manchester United's Rasmus Hojlund. First talks with his agents, which are at work to move the striker this summer. This is by an Italian journalist, Nico Schira. So that's. I mean, we are trying to get rid of Rasmus Hojlund. I think his most likely destination is in Italy. So, I think Juventus have the deepest pockets over there. So, if he wants to go there and if they are willing to buy him, get a decent fee for him and wish him well. Yeah, he's tried his best, but this is it's too much for him. I don't think he's at this level, and I think he might survive there. He did come from Atalanta, but yeah, there's not much Man United can do with him anymore. And finally, this was the craziest rumor which I heard. Italian media saying Matt Hargreaves, MUFC's director of football negotiations, flew to Naples where he was told Napoli would be happy to accept Hojlund plus 33 million pounds for Victor Osimhen. I I just hope nothing. They are stuck. So Napoli is stuck with Victor Osimhen. He's on huge wages, and they are trying to get rid of him. So don't give them an out where you just give them Rasmus Højlund and 33 million pounds and get Victor Osimhen, and then you are saddled with his wages. There's no point in doing that. Just this is one of the negotiations which I had mentioned, that you can just wait this out and see how desperate they are. Just like how other teams who are trying to get our players will slow it down and hope that we are desperate and sell at a much cheaper price. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game against the Hong Kong 11, and hopefully we have a much better performance, and there's more support by the local crowds and cheering especially the youngsters, because a lot of youngsters are going to play, and hopefully we end with a good result, which is a good stepping stone into the summer.